Welcome back to the channel, my friends. As you can tell, we're in a different location, and that's because we're at the babysitter's house. My dad's gonna be babysitting Camp the kitten for a bit while we take Hank here off to Colorado. Finally got my truck in somewhat working condition. I was able to get the exhaust all fixed up. It was an absolute headache to replace everything. I replaced the downpipe, the catalytic converter, and then the entire cap back, along with every gasket in between. I sprayed everything down after tightening up the new exhaust, and I still found a couple leaks, one of which was from one of the welds in the catalytic converter. So it's just gonna be something I'm gonna have to keep an eye on this trip out to Colorado and back, and you know, just roll with the punches on that one. But outside of that, we got the trucks, both of them here. Morgan has a 2023 Tacoma with the GFC. It's the V2, and I have a 1998 Toyota Tacoma with the GFC V2 Pro, both four-wheel drive trucks. She's got a rear locker. Your boy's open, stick shift, auto. I don't know, are there any other specs that I'm missing?
I don't think so.
The purpose of today's video is really to bring you guys up to speed on what both of our plans are for Colorado. We have a lot going on between Tennessee and Colorado, and then we have a lot going on in Colorado. So I want to bring you guys up to speed on what we're going to be doing. Also show you guys around both the rigs and show you what we brought, what we think we're going to need, and I brought a lot of tools because after this past week, this truck does not have me super confident. So where do we start?
I guess your bumper?
My bumper, okay. So tomorrow the plan is to drive through Tennessee.
6 hours?
Yeah, about 6 hours through Tennessee, through Kentucky, and then land in Missouri.
Yes.
Where we have a campsite and a backup campsite that I found on iOverlander or Campendium, one of the two. Totally just going off of what people say on the internet, and we're hoping for the best when we get there. So that's why I have one campsite and then a backup. And we're intending on doing mainly primitive camping. We did book 2 sites out in Colorado, but that's not till the latter half of the trip, in just some really pristine areas that we want to be able to enjoy and not have to worry about finding a camp spot. But the rest of the trip, including the multi-day trek out to Colorado, we're just going to be primitive camping and hoping to find whatever we can find. So tomorrow, 5 or 6 hours, land in Missouri, get to camp. Hopefully we still have some daylight, cook dinner, do all that sort of thing. And then the next day, we're going to be driving from there out to just over the border into Kansas, and we're going to be picking up, hopefully, a tube bumper for my truck. The rear bumper obviously has been missing for months, and it's because I've been having a buddy basically weld and put together a tube bumper, an off-road bumper, which will have recovery points, relocating the license plate, and then also like a high clearance setup. So it's definitely going to look a lot better than stock, and hoping that he's basically down to the wire now, trying to get everything finished. So hoping that by the time we get there, he'll have everything wrapped up. We can install it on the first gen Tacoma and keep going on our way. So that'll be night 2. We'll be somewhere in Kansas. I think we're going to aim to get a little bit beyond like Wichita, and then camp, same deal, just random spots I found on iOverlander. And then the next day, we're either going to make it all the way to our destination in Colorado, or we're going to find somewhere in between if we get tired.
I think it was like maybe 2 hours from the final destination, but hopefully we make it.
Yes. So I think the last day, we're doing like 5 to 6 hours a day of driving until we get out to Colorado. And then that last day of driving could end up being like 8 or 9 hours, but we're just going to see and play it by ear, see how we're feeling. However, we're going to be stationed mainly in south central Colorado, in an area that you found last year. How'd you find it?
Very fortunately had a friend named Mike, and I bought this truck, and I was just kind of asking him, like how to outfit it, all these things. That's how I found Connor. And then I was asking where to go, really. I was just like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. I would love the desert. I would love a dry climate, because living on the road when you have like 0 utilities and the humidity is awful. Camping in the humidity is awful. And knowing I was going to do it for a while, I was looking for somewhere that it was just going to be more comfortable. The days are warm, not hot. The nights are cool, so it's easy to sleep. And he pointed me towards where we're going. So it's just outside kind of the San Juan mountain range. is gorgeous there. I mean, there's so much to do. We had some really good time fishing last year, did some off-roading.
Caught some trout.
Caught some trout, both of our first trouts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I did eat one, but you were already gone. So hopefully.
We do have that on the books for this one. Hopefully we can do it multiple times, is a catch and cook. Find some really healthy trout out of a nice healthy river in Colorado. I've got a fillet knife that I'm very itching to try and see if we can't do a catch and cook on one of these videos. We're going to be doing a lot of wheeling.
Yep.
We took her truck out last year in this same area, and there's, I mean, lots of dirt roads everywhere. Dirt roads, you could spend all day driving on them. But there is some little bit of like bouldering, kind of rock climbing type stuff. So hoping to get both of these things in 4-low and see what they're capable of. I guess we'll wait till the walk around, but Morgan, what did you just put on your truck?
New shoes, very expensive new shoes. Yes. Wheels and tires. We can show them when they're on there, but they look a lot better than the stock ones that just got pulled off. So I had 2 massive blowouts on the tires that I had originally had, which just came, factory tires, and I didn't really want to do that going off-road.
Well, she wanted to do an oil change and a tire rotation before we left. So while she was knocking out the oil change, I was doing the tire rotation. I pulled off one of the tires, and it wasn't bald by any means, but they look really aggressive from the sidewalls, but they don't look aggressive on the actual tread. And I'm like, you have like 1/8 of tread left. I don't know if that's just how these tires are, if they're really just designed for street, whatever. So you had been wanting to swap out your wheels to something that poked out of the fenders just a little bit, or, without running wheel spacers. So we have new wheels and tires. The tires, we'll go over it, but she's running the same setup and they're sick. So, am I missing anything?
No.
Yeah, we're going to be out in Colorado for multiple weeks. We're going to hit up Twin Lakes, the Sand Dune National Park. We're going to hit up a couple Engineer Pass, Ophir Pass. We may dip down into Taos, New Mexico.
We will dip down to New Mexico.
And if we're really, really, really bored, we might go over to Utah. So we'll see. And I think those are like the big ticket items. We're going to be spending just a lot of time in the desert camping, and then going out on these day and multi-day trips where we're going to be primitive camping out of these 2 trucks and just enjoying our time. So I think without further ado, let's jump on to the rigs. We can start with your rig since you've got some new stuff going on, and show them inside and out what we have. And then we'll hop onto my truck inside and out and show you what I'm bringing. And, hopefully you guys can learn something if you're trying to pack up for a road trip, or, hey, just enjoy it.
This is my 2023 Toyota Tacoma. It is the TRD off-road package, and these are my beautiful new shoes. I have the Method 703s in bronze. They're a 16x8. The reason I did that is because they're actually the same size as the stock wheels, so I don't have any rubbing on my stock suspension. Hopefully gonna do the lift later, way later. But right now they fit and they look great. There's no rubbing. And for the tires, I have the Falcon Wild Peak AT4s. They're a 265/70 R16. My Christmas present this year from the wonderful person behind the camera was these awesome taillights. I did not like the little pieces of chrome that were all over this truck. They kind of had like chrome around the outside of the housing. So these are clear, and then they just light up with the light bulbs when the brakes are on. We also went over the chrome bumper and added the plastic, the black plastic, so it just looks a little bit more neutral, I would say, and then kind of put some black tidbits on the front too, just to get rid of that chrome. And now Hank is gonna help us look at the front of the truck. This was my first mod on this truck, was replacing the stock grille, and we went with the amber smoke headlights and the Toyota. I believe this is what they run on the TRD, just stock, but this is what I upgraded to. And then as you can see up here, we have a beautiful custom roof rack that we found, I believe, just on YouTube when we were kind of looking for new ideas of how to replace the beef rack, because mine, they're getting a little rusty and just, they don't work as well as what we built here. So if you watched Connor's last video, he completely documented how we built these. And I've got a Renogy 250 watt bifacial solar panel, so it can collect solar on the top as well as the little bit of reflection or refraction you'd get on the bottom from the white roof. So that works out really well. So far, it's been great. It's charging while I'm driving. It's hooked down into the back of the truck, which we can see later. The next modification that I'm super excited to try on this trip I didn't have last summer is the Starlink Mini. So the other little mount that I've got up there is for the Starlink. I believe you can put it in there while you're driving, but I don't think that's really a risk I'd like to take. So we'll put it up there when we're actually stationary at camp and we'll see how it works. And behind this panel, I have got a new awning. Just picked this up on Amazon. I believe it is 6 by 8 foot. Last year, I had no shade of any kind, and that was very difficult because in the high desert, you are high and the sun is out all the time, and I had no reprieve from that. So this was like an absolute necessity this year, and we put it out. It's great. Now let's dive into the inside of my build. I've got the Weber fridge here. It is a 12 volt. I've had this for, I think, 2 years now. It's phenomenal. I can't speak highly enough of this fridge. When it's pulling, it's maybe a max of like 35 watts that it's drawing. So very sustainable for long road trips, long weekends, and not a huge power draw. Then behind the fridge, this is more transport mode. It's not going to stay like this when we get to camp. But just for now, I've got my water and then my power banks, which the solar panel is running through. And then one thing I can show you, the 2023 Tacoma's got this little cubby here. We actually just went ahead and drilled a hole, and we've got my solar wires running here. They're on the outside underneath the truck, just kind of zip tied to the frame. So they're nice tucked up out of the way. Don't have to worry about them when we're off-roading. And it looks nice and clean. And now for the bed build, the back 2.5 feet of this are just, it's a big open storage. And right now I've got my clothes in there, all my bathroom stuff, camp chair, basically anything that I need for camping is all in that 2.5 foot section. And then here I've got the kitchen drawer set up. Pretty standard. The Starlink is going to travel in here just because it's a nice flat surface for it. But this drawer is deep, and I have a ton of stuff in here. Probably more than I will ever need on this trip, but it's all in here.
And you guys obviously know my rig, but for those of you that are new or just want to see, the ins and outs of this thing, this is my 1998 Toyota Tacoma. I've done a heck of a lot to it since owning it. I've owned this truck for about 5 years, and I've changed quite a bit. This is the second rendition of the camper build with the GFC V2 Pro. It's obviously a much nicer setup. Before I was running just a high top fiberglass shell with a wooden build out inside. And now I've changed everything up from the head, the nose to the tail of this truck. So 1998 Toyota Tacoma 4-wheel drive. I'm sitting on some 33-inch tires. These are also the Falken Wild Peak AT4s. Absolutely love them so far. They've been great tires, so quiet on the road, but tons and tons of grip. On the wheels, I'm running a 16 by 8 with a negative, I want to say 25 offset. And these are the Stealth Custom Series F5s, I believe. I'm totally forgetting right now, but they only have like a few wheel options, so I'm sure you can find it if you really wanted to. But these are in a gunmetal gray. Totally love these wheels. I spent a lot of time looking for them, and one of the reasons I went with them was the specs are perfect for the Toyota builds, so you don't have to run like a hub-centric ring, which is really nice. But then also they had just the perfect specs, the perfect colorway, and they were super lightweight. The Falken Wild Peak AT4s are kind of a heavy tire, so I wanted to basically go as lightweight without sacrificing too much durability, if that works, with the wheels. So with that setup, it's been pretty good. Fuel economy hasn't really changed much since my old 33s, so very happy with those. Suspension wise, running basically Bilsteins up front and Old Man Emu springs, which gives me about a 2.5-inch lift up front. And then in the back, I'm running a Chevy 63 leaf spring swap. So I have Chevy 63s out of like almost every Chevy 1500 from like 1998 to 2008 or something like that. So very common swap on these trucks, but it just adds a ton of flex. And those springs come off of a 1/2-ton truck, and this is like a 1/4-ton truck. So they're way overkill. And between removing the overload leaf and then changing the shackle length, I was able to get this truck to sit pretty level, especially with the weight of the camper shell, but they're beefier springs, so it really takes the weight of the GFC and all the additions onto it very nicely, and it drives like a dream. So up front, as far as things I've swapped on this truck, it's been a lot. I've swapped the corners for an OEM looking corner with the orange marker Swapped out the orange. I had like a clear marker on these, swapped them out for the OEM orange. The only thing I haven't swapped is the headlights, which are probably due, but not due enough. And I think the last owner, these look like a black shrouded housing, so they're a little bit, I don't know, they actually look really nice on the truck, but they still maintain that OEM kind of look, which was what I was going for. And then these are some knob-sight floodlights that I've mounted directly to the stock bumper. And these things are freaking awesome. They light up in multiple ways and they act as a floodlight as well. And then you can put on all sorts of different, you can run clear housings on these, or you can run these ambers, which I like because they cut through fog and weather a little bit better. Re-sprayed the bumper. It was horribly faded. So I just hit it with some black paint and that's all I got for that. Up here, I added a little bug guard just to keep some of the dents off the hood. And then up top here, I have an Eno roof rack, which I had to modify because of the GFC. I had to kind of shrink it short, but Eno roof rack with some recovery boards on top. And then I also, in the last video, you guys saw I added the roof rack to the GFC along with a 250 watt solar panel. And if you can see way up there is actually a high boost cell boosting antenna, which pretty excited to try that out in Colorado when we're in the middle of the desert or on some of these passes and see if I can actually get a little bit better cell signal. So I think that's it for this side, and let's jump over to the back. Now in the back of the GFC V2 Pro, I've decided to not do a wooden build out. I used to have one and it was really comfortable, but now that I have a rooftop tent where I actually sleep 90% of the time unless I'm stealth camping. If I'm stealth camping, I just put like an inflatable mattress down here and happy days. But with having the rooftop tent, I really wanted to keep as much of this modular and also just open, because one reason I bought the GFC was because I loved the idea that you could have these pass-through panels where you could literally be standing up in your tent or in your truck bed and then have your head up top in the tent, and you can, you know, do things like change clothes, stretch out in the morning so you're not all cramped up. I moved some of the cushions and I have like a standing desk and also like a standing area to cook. So if it's buggy or raining, I don't have to be cooking out here on the tailgate. But not having a wooden build out just makes things super modular. So if I'm just going out for a quick trip, I definitely don't even need this much stuff. But for a multi-week trip like what we're doing, this is everything. I mean, I'm kind of going lightweight with it. Over here, I have a Bouge RV fridge, which is very clutch, actually is already loaded up with some food. I have a water container, which honestly, one of my favorite things. It's like a 5 or 7 gallon water container, but it has this pump on it, which you just press a button and water comes out. I don't have any water in it, otherwise I'd show you. But very nice, so you're not, you know, messing with those giant blue containers and having to like tip it and hold your cup and then quickly, like so much easier to just do that, press a button. It's a really nice thing to have. Trusty poop shovel, a hatchet for getting some firewood. And then one thing I haven't figured out is where to put my fishing pole. This is like a 6'4" fishing pole, and it's not a 2-piece, unfortunately. Would have done that different. I would have got a 2-piece rod, but the truck bed is 6 feet, so I can't just run it long ways. So I kind of just kitty corner it. That's what I'm doing for now. Maybe eventually I'll add a tube on the top of the roof rack that I still have left next to the solar panel and do like a fishing pole rod holder type thing. Over here, this above my Bouge RV is my bougie TV. So right here is a, like, I don't know, 17 or 18 inch TV that I picked up from, what is it called? Goodwill. And for like, I don't know, 20 bucks all in, I have a TV in here that is mounted onto some PVC that I basically was able to bolt into the GFC using the factory GFC holes. And I have this swivel TV mount. So I've done a couple videos where I bring out like my PlayStation 1 and I sit here and I play PlayStation, which is always a good time. I didn't bring it on this trip, but it does actually get cable, like not satellite, what is the word? It's got an antenna on the back. So occasionally it will actually pick up some free TV, which is super cool. But I was also thinking for this trip, I'm going to be editing obviously a lot of these YouTube videos, and I could use it as a second monitor running from my laptop with an HDMI. So that could work out well. Just going to kind of play it by ear and see how much use it actually gets. And then maybe in future trips, I may not take it, but if it's worthwhile, I'll keep it. And then let's see, in the back here, I have a single tote with a bunch of kitchenware mainly. Stove, pots, pans, silverware, all that stuff. In the backpack, I have the Bluetti power station that is wired up to my Charger 1, which it runs from my alternator and charges the Bluetti while I'm actually driving, which is really nice. And the Bluetti is mainly it's my bigger power bank, and that is going to run, let's see, it runs the lights for in here. So I don't have it turned on. Let me turn it on. As I was saying, it runs the lights that are in here, both the upstairs and the downstairs, which is pretty cool to say because I have like a truck, a 98 Toyota Tacoma with a multi-story house on the back. Anyways, runs the lights up and top, and then I'm going to keep that one for like charging my laptop for editing, and then just any other power draw, charging camera gear, whatever it may be. I'm going to keep that one just fully charged most of the time. And then you can't see it. There's another Anker Solix C1000 power bank in the back there, which is going to basically be running the fridge like it is now. And then it also runs my cell boosting antenna. And it is the only thing right now that is tied to the solar panel. So 250 watts, charging that thing in full sun. And it's maybe having, between all the appliances, it's maybe drawing, I don't know, like 50 watts. So 90% of the time, it's at 100% battery, which is great. So primary, or I guess, yeah, I'll call that the primary power bank, secondary power bank, both being charged in different ways. That way, if something breaks, still have power. And probably, actually, I'm pretty excited about this. Right here is a tool bag that I picked up, and just honestly a cheap one off Amazon, but it unfolds, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different compartments. So I have a bunch of tools all separated. So I have standard metric wrenches in here. I have ratchets in here. I've got pliers of different, sorts in here. And then in this one, I have kind of miscellaneous utility knife, Allen's, Phillips heads, flathead screwdrivers, the Trusteel flat bar, and then just some sockets up here. These ones are mainly used for wheels. These ones are just miscellaneous sockets. So very stoked to have this thing just because I love the fact that it folds up. And if I don't, on future trips need to bring as many tools, then I don't have to, it just folds up smaller, which is nice. It's not like a bag that's always the same size. It kind of grows with the amount of tools that you keep in it. So hoping not to actually use this bag, but if I do, everything's organized. And then I've just got a little toolbox back there with some, spare oil change, some gaskets. I kept all of the spare gaskets for the exhaust since I just swapped that out. So in case anything starts leaking, I can quickly change those out. And a little dry bag with bedding. That's pretty much everything in here. I've got a little paper towel holder. That's all I got for you. I mean, everything up top is just as it came from GFC, and it works out great. Mattress is super comfy. And I think the last thing that we should hopefully see in the next video or two is going to be a new rear bumper. Tube bumper that's going to go here, relocate the license plate, recovery points, and it's going to really tidy things up. And so now the adventure begins. We're going to be taking these trucks on a multi-week long trip, and you guys are going to come along and hopefully live a part of it with us and see how it pans out for better or for worse. And any parting thoughts for the people on the interwebs?
I'm so excited. That's all I have to tell you. I have a drone that I have been itching to use and a drone license that has gone pretty much unused. So
yes,
get ready for it.
She's going to be getting all the aerial footage, and she's licensed, which is the coolest thing. So we'll have multi-camera setups. We'll have action cameras. I have a couple. You have one. Drone. It's going to be hopefully a well-covered trip, and I'm very excited to share that with all of you. So stay tuned for that. Leave a comment down below what you think of Morgan's rig or my rig or both of them, things you would change, things that you like. Let me know. And don't forget to leave a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. I'm sure we'd love to have you as part of the family, and we'll see you in the next one. Keep elevating. It's always the end.
It is.
It is always the end. Keep elevating, my friends. Adios.